Just a short video to answer a question that you may have. If you've read all the reviews of the H100i, you'll see it's really rather nice and rather good. You've probably also read reviews about the Maximus VI Formula motherboard from ASUS, which is also rather nice and really rather good. And you've probably also read reviews about the Corsair Obsidian 550D case, which is rather good and is also rather nice. So the question, I suppose, is, do they all fit together? And the answer, well, the very quick answer is that they don't really. There's the motherboard mounted in the case, and there's the radiator mounted at the bottom. The case is upside down to stop the pump bit from flapping about. I'll just tuck that round the corner out of the way. And if you look at the Formula motherboard, you see it's got the plastic armour on it, which is quite pleasing to look at. And there's a little LED that lights up the Republica Gamers logo there, which is also rather nice. And if I get a bit closer to the radiator, you'll see there's a little bit of clearance between the water block with the armour on top of it and the radiator. And if I grab one of the included Corsair fans that come with the H100i, it's 120 by 25mm, and if I slide that in, you can see that actually it doesn't quite fit. It's only about 2 or 3 millimeters out, but the top edge of the fan interferes with the plastic armour on the built-in water block. So what can you do about that? Well, you could try removing the armour and see if it fits. I'm not going to do that, because one of the reasons I bought the Formula 1 was because it's got the armour on. Bit shallow, I know, but it's quite pretty to look at. Also, the back plate, there's a big steel plate on the back, and that's kind of helpful for reinforcing the motherboard when you're using heavy graphics cards. So it's really, I don't really want to take it off. The other option, I suppose, is to cut a chunk out just where that hits it. And I like to resell stuff when I upgrade, or just stick it on eBay. So if I've done deliberate damage to it with a Dremel, then that's going to decrease its value. So I'm reluctant to do that. So what else can I do? Well, I could try moving the radiator, but the actual mounts in the case don't really let that happen, and I don't really want to start drilling new ones, but I suppose you could. I mean, these are all options. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting this is what you should do. I'm just explaining that if you bought these components, this is what you're going to find when you actually get them out of the box and start putting it together, which hopefully some people will find helpful. You could also chop a bit off the fan, because it's only about 2 or 3 mil the difference is, but again, you damage the fans, so when you go to resell or reuse the fans, they've got a big chunk cut out of them. Plus the actual blades themselves are going to interfere as well, so you have to cut bits off the blades if you're going to go that route, and that's not really a good idea, because it's very difficult to do it on all of the fins on the blade equally. So the fan will probably spin unstably because the weights will be all messed up. So I wouldn't really want to think about doing that. So what solution am I going to do? Well, I'm going to use these, which is the Prolima Ultra Sleek Vortex 12. They're only 15 mils thick, not 25 mil. So if I take one of those, move that one out of the way, so I get that fan and just slot it in, you can see it fits absolutely beautifully, and there's plenty of play, there's quite a lot of room, it screws into the normal screw holes perfectly well, everything's absolutely fine. I'm going to use 2 of those, but you could use one of the original fans. There are 2 controller leads that you plug into the pump. I probably wouldn't want to put both those fans on one lead, because that's not really going to be a good idea, as they both draw different amounts of current and they both spin at different speeds. The Corsair ones have got a higher spin speed, so if you're going to do that route, you could easily put one on each of the controller cables, and that would probably balance it out and work better. I'm going to just use two of the fans, two of the Vortex fans anyway. They're also a lot quieter than the Corsair ones. In terms of cooling, the radiator's a massive radiator. It should be fine for cooling. I'm going to overclock slightly. I'm not going to go mental, but I'm going to overclock slightly, so those fans should be fine. And of course I'll monitor and test it just to make sure. That's all very well. However, the screws that come with it are that long. So if I get the original Corsair fan and put the screw through the hole, see it sticking out a little bit. If I then get the other fan and put it through, it sticks out a whole lot more because it's obviously 10mm slimmer. If you just screw that in as it is, those screws will go straight through into the radiator, because the screw holes on the radiator outer case, or outer frame really, are actually directly above the radiator fins, so you can screw right through it, and there's a potential there to put a hole in it. So what's the solution to that? Well, I got a length of aluminium pipe from my local hardware shop, and I've cut some 10mm lengths of it using my Dremel, and there they are. I haven't painted them black, but obviously you could, and that should compensate for the extra length that you get in the screw when you use the smaller fan. So what I'll do is I'll plug them all in, get it all together, and then I'll come back and we'll see what it looks like. And we're back, and as you can see on here, there are the two fans. They're mounted, and they've got the little 10mm spacers that I've made, and everything fits perfectly. One question that might be worrying people is, does the motherboard CPU voltage cable fit? And the answer to that is yes, it plugs straight in, so it's not going to be a problem at all. I'm using a Corsair power supply with that, but I'll do a separate video once it's all built. Another issue that I didn't mention before is that if you do remove the armour, the LED that lights that up is just an LED then, so if you've got a side panel, it's not going to look quite as nice as it would do if you left the original armour on. But that's the finished video, so if you find it useful, then great. Thanks for watching. Bye.